Our world is not always the same. Hidden from our view lies a different world. Creatures utterly unlike us. Almost alien. Yet they are more numerous than any other group on the planet. Welcome to the fascinating world of the arthropods. Spiders, scorpions, and insects. Today, we have new camera techniques that will allow us to reveal in greater detail than ever before their lives, the way they fight and feed and reproduce. This series uses specially developed 3D camera technology to study the micro-world in extraordinary detail, both on location and in specially constructed environments. We'll witness their births, the challenges they face, and the moments when their lives hang in the balance. And that may help us understand how it is that today, over 80% of all animal species on this planet are arthropods. In this series, we'll see the way they have evolved, from the comparative simplicity of the millipede to vast colonies that contain hundreds, even millions of individuals. We'll witness the most extraordinary transformations in the animal kingdom. We'll meet ants that farm, spiders that can cast their webs, and the bug that wears the bodies of its victims as a disguise. Welcome to a strange and dangerous world. Every species of animal must reproduce. If it didn't, it would go extinct. And arthropods have developed many ways of doing so. From courtship and mating, to egg laying, the hatching of larvae, to caring for the newly born young. And some insects meet the reproductive challenge by splitting their life cycle in two. And all in order to produce offspring and ensure they get the best possible start in life. The arthropod's success in doing so has led them to becoming one of the most abundant forms of animals on this planet. In the woodlands of Madagascar and parts of southern Africa lives a spider that has to rely on stealth in order to mate and father young. This is the male golden orb-web spider. He hatched 2 months ago and is now looking for a mate. He's found a female's web and he's lurking at its edge. This is the female. As spiders go, she's huge. Her body alone is as long as your thumb, and her legs span some 15 centimeters. She's about 20 times the size of the male. Not only that, she's a deadly predator with a voracious appetite. And all this makes mating a risky business for the male. The start of their courtship is triggered by the insect the female has already captured. She is distracted by it. So he seizes his opportunity. He cautiously begins an approach. He climbs very tentatively onto her abdomen. Now he's in position, he deposits his sperm. Success. His alertness has saved him from becoming the female's next meal. He will only mate once in his short life. And this is his reward. He is father to the 400 or so eggs in this egg sac. A few weeks later, the young emerge from it. The spiderlings are each no bigger than a pinhead. To begin with, they stay close to the egg sac from which they emerged. They molt, and then after 30 days, they start to disperse. Golden orb-web spiders live for only a year. Mating is the culmination of their lives. For some creatures, though, time is simply too short for mating, so the females reproduce without a male. Spring is the season when most arthropod eggs hatch. But in colder climates, spring arrives late and the summer is short, leaving little time to mate and for the young to grow strong enough to survive the coming winter. Megabunus, a species of harvestman, has a way of dealing with that. The female lives in alpine forests and spends the freezing winter sheltered in the leaf litter. She emerges in spring and starts to hunt. Her long legs help her to clamber over the moss. In fact, her legs are so long that she has breathing holes in them to supply them directly with oxygen. But she must reproduce if the species is to survive. So she does so without mating. She lays unfertilized eggs, which hatch into exact genetic copies of herself, clones. Megabunus has adapted her reproduction to the harsh climate and so sacrificed the genetic variation that could have come with sex. But other plant eaters in gentler climates use the same technique to take advantage of the glut of food that comes with spring. Aphids also clone their offspring, and what is more, a female produces her young alive. And she can do so 10 times a day or more. Not only that, each of her offspring will start producing young of their own within days. If the descendants of a single female all survived, they would, by the end of summer, number 600 billion, all of them identical clones. But as the winter approaches, the aphids change their way of reproducing. They lay eggs. Aphids cannot survive the cold of the winter, but the eggs are hardy and will hatch next spring. And then, once again, the aphid population will explode. The million or so species of arthropod on our planet have matched the way they reproduce to suit the particular environment in which they live. Most of them lay eggs, and some do so in scarcely believable numbers. One such lives on a hedgehog. Ixodes is a tick, a parasite. The female is so well adapted to life on a hedgehog that she rarely lives anywhere else. She has a limitless supply of food immediately beside her: blood. She stays on the hedgehog until she's ready to lay her eggs. Then she lets go, falls to the ground, and starts to deposit her eggs in the undergrowth. The eggs make up 50% of her entire body weight. She can lay around 1,500 of them, and it takes her up to 20 days to lay them all. Producing so many is her way of ensuring that at least one or two of her young will find their own hedgehog host. For those that do, the cycle can begin again. By the time Ixodes has produced them all, her once plump body is deflated and she dies. Some insects, among them butterflies, have developed a way of growing that involves a truly astonishing transformation. This is a heliconius butterfly, and this is its offspring, a caterpillar. The two look as though they're completely different creatures, but of course they're not. The butterfly has divided its life into two halves. The first half, the caterpillar, is devoted almost exclusively to gathering food and growing. And the second, the adult, is devoted almost entirely to reproduction. Adult butterflies feed on nectar, which they locate with their antennae, taste through their feet, and collect with long tube-like mouthparts. This sugar-rich food fuels their search for a mate. Once a male and female have found one another, the male uses special claspers at the end of his abdomen to transfer his sperm to her. Once fertilized, the female heliconius lays her eggs on the leaves of the passion flower plant. Her young, the caterpillars, are fussy eaters, and these leaves are almost the only ones they will eat. She lays around 50 eggs, and then her work is done. About a week later, the caterpillars emerge. They are little more than eating machines, and they get down to work immediately. Some, over a month or two, can grow to 40 times their original size. They have protective spines to ward off their predators. but no reproductive organs. Then, when they've grown enough, their behavior changes. They stop eating and settle in a suitable resting place. Then their skin hardens to form a shell. This is a chrysalis. If we could see inside, we would witness one of the most extraordinary changes in the animal kingdom: metamorphosis. Some parts of the caterpillar are transformed and others disappear completely. The caterpillar had a massive gut for processing food. That shrinks, for nectar will be easier to digest than the leaves the caterpillar consumed. The mouth parts must change. The adult needs not munching jaws, but a tube-like tongue. The caterpillar's simple eyes are also transformed. Searching for a mate needs better eyesight than finding leaves. Antennae sprout from its head. It will use them to sniff out the scent of a female or a flower. And finally, its wings. Their shape and color will warn off predators and enable it to find and select a suitable mate. An adult heliconius butterfly emerges after 8 days of transformation. Its delicate wings are crumpled and wet. It stretches them by pumping blood along their veins, and then waits for them to dry before attempting to fly. From this point on, its body will not grow or change. It will live for just a month or two and feed just enough to keep itself going. This body is purely for mating. A male's antennae can detect female scent from more than a kilometer away. And he's off to find a female. Success for this butterfly is reproduction, as it is for all species. And that need has shaped the bodies, the behavior, the entire life cycle of all arthropods and produced the dazzling range of forms that we see around us in the world today. Every generation must reproduce itself. If it does not, a species will disappear. From the cunning, tiny male golden orb-web spider to the amazingly fertile aphids that clone themselves to make the most of summer, and the tick that leaves its hedgehog host to lay its eggs. The arthropods have evolved reproductive strategies that are surely among the most fascinating, almost unbelievable stories in the natural world. In our next program, I'll be looking at what happens after reproduction. Over 400 million years ago, some early arthropods began to care for their young and to live in groups. And for these too, life was about more than just staying alive. It was about giving the next generation the best chance of survival.